Ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to be continuing the top 5 series, looking at mutant characters today, and talking about what I believe are the top 5 strongest mutants in the game. Now, I want to start this video with a little bit of a disclaimer. So from this list, we're actually going to be excluding 4 champions. So the first champion that we're going to be excluding is the classic version of Deadpool, because he's just so insanely rare. There was only ever one opportunity to get him as a 4-star, I believe, and that was from an arena that ran back at the start of 2016 to coincide with the Deadpool movie. So while he is a very good champion, you just can't obtain him anymore in the game unless they kind of bring him in with some new event. So yeah, we're going to leave him off the list because he's not really an easily attainable character, but he's very good for regeneration. And the next 3 characters that we're going to exclude are the 3 new mutants that kind of in their release mode at the moment. You know, they're just coming out with the new arenas. So those are Archangel, Psylocke, and Iceman. Because these characters are just so incredibly new, you know, Archangel came out a couple of weeks ago, Psylocke just came out a couple of days ago, and Iceman doesn't come out yet for another week and a bit. It's very hard to tell how good they are in comparison to a lot of the other characters. So to kind of include them in this list at the moment, I think wouldn't be terribly factual or accurate, and also like a lot of people probably watching this video are people who don't already have access to these champions as 4 and 5 stars and won't for at least a few more months. But just kind of some initial thoughts on, you know, Archangel, Psylocke, and Iceman. Archangel seems like a kind of a mutant version of Gwenpool. Tons of great utility there, really great damage output when you can both bleed and poison the opponent, but when you can't do either, very lackluster character. Psylocke, amazing power control. I've seen some phenomenal stuff with that character. It looks like, providing you don't get hit, you can permanently keep your opponent at 0 power. Just absolutely insane, but it, you know, as a kind of a sacrifice for that, her damage does seem a little bit lackluster, doesn't have too much going on in that department, but the power control enough combined with her signature ability, which reduces defensive ability accuracy when the opponent's at 0 power, seems really good. Really a lot of potential there. And Iceman, we've only seen him from like the master mode of EnQuest and kind of looking at his abilities there. Tons of utility, seems like he's going to have great damage output, so much you can do with Iceman. So yeah, I think Iceman's going to be a really strong character. A lot going for him, but it's hard to tell before the character is even released as a playable one exactly how good he's going to be when you get him, you know, as like a 4 or 5 star, a kind of rank 4 or level 5, rank 4 or rank 5. So yeah, that's kind of why I chose to exclude those 4 champions from the list, is just because we don't really have like enough information, and they're not really easily obtainable for the large majority of the community. So anyway, now that we've covered that quick disclaimer, let's get into the top 5 mutant characters. So at number 5, I am going to rank Cable at number 5. Cable is a character that was introduced toward the end of January. He's this month's login character, so everybody's going to get a 3-star version of him, but I imagine quite a few people watching this as well might actually manage to pick up a 4-star version of Cable. So what I really like about Cable, very fun character to play, great animations, has regen potential. It's not as strong as you'd like it to be, but it's still there, and especially in some fights where you play really well, can come in handy. He has really good utility with some of the stuff that he can do, especially on his level 2. So some of the really cool stuff that Cable has is he has a defensive ability accuracy reduction on his special attack too, and this has actually been bumped up to 90% for 11 seconds. So very powerful there. Again, it doesn't have a 100% chance to proc, but it does have a 90% chance to proc when the character is rank 3, level 45 or 550. So it seems really good, and especially with the the mastery that reduces ability accuracy further when you parry the opponent. That's going to be 100%. If you're attacking into like a stunned electro, 100%, really great utility there. And the special attack 3 now has a 100% chance to grant True Strike for 17 seconds. 17 seconds, a very long amount of time, and that allows you to bypass armor, resistance, and evasion while it's up. So it can be very useful. I think overall, Cable, while he doesn't like excel in one area like greatly, he has a lot of utility and a lot of stuff that he does that is very, very powerful in certain circumstances. So he's kind of like a bit of a utility champion, a bit of a Swiss Army knife. In certain fights, he's going to have abilities that make him really, really good. Also has a really strong degeneration on his heavy attack. Also, kind of, what does it do? Reduces the duration of poison by 20% for each one that's applied. So after 5 stacks of poison, he's immune to that. So that's not really too useful against many characters. Maybe like if you're fighting like a Dr. Voodoo and you get hit, or Abomination or Archangel. There are some uses where that might come in useful, but he's an alright defender as well. He's not like a great defender, doesn't have anything that makes him super strong for defending. His level 1 is very, very annoying to deal with because I don't believe you can fully evade that just by swiping back. However, his special 2, you can fully evade, but I saw before the patch like some really, really stacked cables as Alliance War bosses, and they worked quite well, but that was mainly due to kind of his regeneration being active. But I think with the changes to regeneration to be based off base health instead of modified health, it might make him a little bit less valuable as an Alliance War boss. But I really like Cable, very fun chat, it's so satisfying to play. Like his level 2 and level 1 are very fun to fire off, and I think with the patch he got a decent amount of love. Anyway, let's talk about champion number 4, a champion that at the moment is pretty broke. I'm not too sure if it's like deliberately broken or not very broken, but it's been like this for about 2 weeks now. That's Nightcrawler. Very, very fun character to play. In terms of when you're playing this character offensively, if you've got him awakened, he gains so much damage, synergizes so well with deep wounds at the moment, because his deep strike, is it deep strike, or he does some sort of bleed strike. I'm just trying to find it here in the ability description. Ah, there it is. Yeah, it's actually just called Deep Wound as well. So basically, it does bleed damage instantly, but with Deep Wounds, like, it adds an additional tick for every point that you've got on. So, like, 1 stack of this just deals so much damage. It's absolutely absurd at the moment. But I'm not too sure if that's an intended bug or not. It's been in the game for 2 weeks. It's been all over Reddit, all over the forums. Like, everybody knows about it now, and they still haven't fixed it in the swiftness that they fixed a lot of the other bugs. So I'm not too sure if it's meant to be like that or not. But Nightcrawler, you know, he's a very fun champion to play offensively. Doesn't really have too much going for him apart from like crazy good damage at the moment. But in terms of his defensive ability, really annoying evade champion to fight. There is a way that you can fight Nightcrawler by kind of pushing him back and forcing him into his swashbuckling stance, because he's 2 stances, NAFM and swashbuckling, and in swashbuckling he can't evade. It completely turns off the evade, which is very good for when you're playing the character, because like playing a character that has evade is very annoying. But that's one of the downsides to Nightcrawler as a defender, is that, you know, you can turn off his evade. But it's a little bit tricky to do. There's no, like, 100% way to do it, because even when you go to attack into Nightcrawler, because you got to force him to like dash back and block and then start attacking into him, but then he can just evade out of that anyway. So yeah, it's really tricky to do, but some players are quite good at it. It's a mixture of like skill and luck to do, but it's a bit of a tricky one there. So I think Nightcrawler, just a fun to play champion, very solid for offense, has a really good defensive use on a lot of kind of quick bursty nodes as well. I wouldn't say he's an exceptional boss, but he's a pain in the ass to deal with just on kind of the random node here and there. So yeah, overall, I like Nightcrawler. He's probably my number 4. So, ladies and gentlemen, now we are at ranks 3, 2, and 1. And these are kind of 3 characters I'd like to bundle together because they're all very comparable. And I was actually faced with a decision fairly recently of which one of these characters do I fully max out. You know, I was going to keep 2 of them at rank 4 and fully max out 1 of them. And those 3 characters are Wolverine X23, Wolverine, and Rogue. All very comparable characters and have their pros and cons, and there's no really right answer as to which one is best. It's really what you need for your roster. I'm going to try and outline kind of the pros and cons. So for me, the way that I'd rank them is Wolverine would be number 3, X23 would be number 2, and Rogue would be number 1 on the list. So Wolverine, just to kind of give you the top line on him, his regeneration is absolutely amazing. It's not 100% reliable, it's all based on the procs that you get, so it's a little bit random at some points, but most of the time, it is the strongest regeneration out of the 3 characters. His damage is still pretty good, but in comparison to X23 does significantly more damage, a lot more damage there, but has a worse regeneration that is even more unreliable than Wolverine's. So between like Wolverine and X-23, Wolverine heals more but does less damage, and X-23 does a lot more damage but heals a lot less. So that's kind of the two differences between Wolverine, X-23 and Wolverine. Very, very similar characters in a lot of ways, but it really depends on like who's your favorite and what kind of playstyle you like. Do you like the playstyle of being able to heal a lot, or do you like the playstyle of going out, dealing a ton of damage, and just absolutely wrecking your opponent? Now, with that in mind, kind of, they don't really have much utility outside of that. They don't have, like, anything too special they can do. They're just very, very simple champions that deal a lot of damage and heal a lot. And for most aspects of the game, especially when it comes to questing and Alliance Quest, that's very effective. That is all you need out of a character. A lot of damage, a lot of healing. You don't need this fancy-smancy utility stuff. So that's why they're good, very, very simple, but very, very effective champions. Now let's talk about where Rogue comes into the mix compared to both of these. So Rogue has so much utility. She has a lot of stuff she can do. In regards to her heal, so a special one always will heal you, but if you've got an Awakened Rogue, it has a roughly, when you get a max level, I think it's like a 33% chance to crit, and the special one heal unawakened, or if it doesn't crit, is going to be about 1,000 on a maxed out Rogue, and this increases with attack, so it's all based off a base attack. So if there's a node or a boost active, or you've got a certain synergy, then you're going to heal for a lot more basically. And especially coming Act 5, I believe there are going to be certain nodes that enhance your attack by quite a bit, but also you're going to be suffering degeneration. The Rogue's going to be really, really good for. I don't know this for 100%, but I believe it. So we're gonna have to see like exactly how that pans out when Act 5 comes out. But the thing is, with Rogue, you always have that heal on the special one. Granted, it's going to be somewhere between like 1,000 and 3,000, 4,000, depending on whether you get a crit or not. But you're always going to have that option to get a heal off your special one, which can be very, very reliable. It guarantees that you're going to get a bit of regen, whereas with Wolverine and X-23, sometimes when you really, really need it in that kind of those round of combos where you just keep on getting like combo after combo and you're still not proccing that regen, it's sometimes very, very frustrating. So that's what I like about Rogue, is the reliability there. Also, the Special 2 has a very, very powerful Power Steal, and especially when you have Rogue Awakened, you can just chain onto another Power Steal if you get lucky enough to get 2 Power Steal critical hits. The Special 1 also can replicate opponent buffs, which can be very, very valuable in some fights, like in Crossbones. You can steal his Fury, and then fire off another Special 1, and then heal for like an absolute ton. So there's a lot of interesting synergy stuff that you can do with Rogue Special 1 there. Also, she has reduced debuff duration by an absolute ton. I believe it's 65 to 70% on kind of a rank 5 rogue. Yeah, it's 70% reduced debuff duration, which at the moment makes her very, very good for fighting opponents like Iceman in the monthly event quest, and also any opponent that kind of applies like a debuff on you, or that's part of their mechanic that you need to shrug off quite quickly. Very, very powerful. So I really, really do like that ability. Also, what is it on the special 3 as well? You can activate one buff that was replicated during the fight. So let's say you're fighting like a really stacked Iron Man or Superior Iron Man, maybe not Iron Man but Superior Iron Man, and you went to get his regeneration. You could get to the special 3 again, and I believe you could get that regeneration back. So some very, very interesting uses for Rogue there. And also, while you're holding any buffs from the opponent on the special attack 1, they cannot activate those buffs. So providing you play very, very aggressively, you can completely shut down opponents like Wolverine from regenerating when you're fighting them. And also, in comparison to X-23 and Wolverine, one of the really good things that makes Rogue such a good rank 5 option is she is one of the best prestige champions for Mutant at the moment. Well, she's the top champion that's currently available in like the 4-star and premium hero crystals. So there's a really, really solid amount of prestige there. So overall, I really, really enjoy rank 5 Rogue. There are definitely arguments and scenarios where Wolverine and X-23 can definitely surpass her in terms of her actual effectiveness, but when it comes to rank 5ing a character, I went for Rogue. I made that decision there, but I don't think there's like any wrong decision between these 3 characters of which one to rank 5. It's all about what you need, your roster, and kind of, you know, how you want to progress forward in the game. I think they're all pretty decent options, but I went for Rogue just because I really like her utility, and her prestige is pretty damn decent. So for me at the moment, Rogue is probably the top mutant character, with Iceman coming out. Iceman seems insane. He seems unreal in terms of the stuff he can do, so I don't know, he might be knocking Rogue off, but he doesn't have any form of regeneration, although he does have some pretty insane utility, so I'm not too sure where Iceman's going to rank. But yeah, very, very excited to see the release of that character. So that's it for the top 5 mutants. Again, there's so much, there's no like flat, the thing is with this patch that I've been trying to communicate, especially on my live streams, is there's not really the scenario that we had before where you'd always go like, this character is just the best for everything, you should always play this character, like it's going to be better than anybody else in that class. There's so many like different gameplay scenarios now where like certain characters might be significantly more valuable than other ones. So that's one of the things to consider in mind. There's no more like flatline when it comes to characters. It's just different scenarios, different fights. Certain characters are going to excel, certain characters are going to be a bit more valuable. So that's just something to kind of bear in mind moving forward into the future of Marvel Contest of Champions. So now let's give some honorable shout outs to people that didn't quite make the cutoff. I'd say Storm is definitely my number 6 option. She's very, very powerful, especially if you've got her as a 5-star awakened. If you take her up to rank 4, you can actually do Labyrinth of Legends with her. It's still a lot more expensive than doing it with a Star-Lord, but it's very, very good and effective way to do that. So I really like Storm, but she doesn't have too much in terms of utility and interesting stuff that she does. She's just a very simple, very hard-hitting champion that has a good chance to stun on most of her special attacks, which is what you need for the most part. So Storm is a great option. She'd probably be my number 6 on this list. Who else do I like? I like both of the Cyclops characters. The 90s one is significantly more powerful at 4-star level, in my opinion. But if you got a 5-star classic Cyclops, you probably want to focus on that character. Both the Magneto characters are quite fun for their utility. Classic Magneto is obviously a little bit more valuable. Deadpool X-Force is absolute trash, in my opinion, apart from Prestige. And I think there are much better characters to use. So yeah, really not a fan of Deadpool X-Force. Just such a gimped character in comparison to a lot of the Bleed champions, and also Gwenpool. Gwenpool is totally like buried any use for Deadpool X-Force there. We also have Gambit and Old Man Logan. So Gambit is a great burst champion. I really, really like some of the stuff you can do with Gambit, but I don't like his main mechanic that he focuses on, which is having to dash back and like build up charges and then kind of unleash those with a heavy attack and then get off a big special too. But it can be potentially useful in some circumstances. Old Man Logan, he got a bit of love. He got a bit of a buff for this update. So Old Man Logan is now his regeneration significantly stronger than it was before the patch. It's still nothing amazing, but the problem with Old Man Logan still is that if you want better regeneration, you'll go to Wolverine. If you want better damage, you'll go to X-23. So out of like the 3 Wolverine type characters, he's still the worst one. So it's not that he's bad by himself, he's just bad by comparison of what else is on offer. Then we also have Beast. Beast, I think, is a pretty sick champion. He's a pretty fun champion, especially when you know how to play him and use all the combos. I think there's a lot of fun stuff that can be done with a Beast. But yeah, I like Beast. I rate Beast quite nice. I think if you've got him awakened and you're struggling for rank 4 options, like, he's not a bad one. I probably wouldn't ever take him to rank 5, but maybe rank 4 in the future if we ever awaken him. And then finally we have Colossus, who is absolute garbage in my opinion, especially with the changes to the way that base health works. The only like semi-decent use, it wasn't even that decent before the patch, was for Alliance War Defense, but now I just think Colossus is absolutely useless. So yeah, a little bit unfortunate because he's one of the worst champions you can pull from a 5-star hero crystal, and his, what is it, team synergy, I guess it's a little bit valued, still gives you a bit of crit rating, but it doesn't seem like those team synergies are as valuable as they were before. So yeah, a little bit disappointed in Colossus. I think he could definitely do with a rework, especially after the patch and everything that's changed, because like the mutant class has so much that they're offering amongst a lot of the characters that he's just really fallen behind. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for my top 5 mutant characters. Hope you enjoyed this video and the insight. There's a lot to talk about when it comes to mutants. Definitely one of my favorite classes in the game. I'd probably say my favorite class in the game is Mystic, and that's probably between Mutant and Skill. Like, I really like a lot of the design in both of those classes, especially some of the new skill the skill champions that like got jacked up with the previous patch, like Punisher and Winter Soldier. A lot more interesting stuff there now. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like. That'd be greatly appreciated. Apart from that, take care and have an absolutely fantastic day.